Ninja and Flannel. I have a new suppressor here, and I've showed it a little bit as I was testing a couple little shorts and stuff, but I haven't talked too much about it because I wanted to get some good time on it before I started spouting my opinions. So what we have here is the RR Weapons Ventus 556. Now, a quick overview for this can. This is a can made with additive manufacturing. It's kind of a proprietary blend made by their PhD metallurgists, very fancy. This is supposed to be like 3 to 4 times stronger than Inconel, if that's what I remember, and close to 1800 degree temperature rating, which is highly impressive considering Inconel, I believe, is an 800 degree rating. Now, the one of these we saw out at SHOT Show had 12,000 rounds through it, I believe put through it only at about a 2-week span with a belt fed, and the thing was completely fine. That was pretty impressive to me. The next portion is that it is hub compatible, as well as that it is a 0 back pressure can. It's kind of a extreme version of flow through. If you put it on at your AR and pay attention to where your casings are ejecting, you're not going to see much of any difference when you put it on. So I would say 0 measurable back pressure. Very impressive on that front as well. And we're going to dig into the details and what I think about this guy so far with the time I've spent with it. So I'm working on building a bit of a scale for these different reviews we do for different suppressors. So we're kind of giving it a 1 through 10, and we're just going to call it the NIF scale because, well, I can. So we're going to start with sound suppression. Now, this can doesn't cover every front and doesn't perform on the highest tier in every category. I'll tell you that right now, and no suppressor will. But this one, I will say, probably has one of the best sound reductions I have seen in any 5.56 can. If you're shooting it with a sound barrier crack and all that stuff, you are going to experience some hearing damage. If you're standing about 10 feet behind the shooter, you don't feel much at all. You might still be getting some real low level hearing damage that you don't know about, but if it doesn't have that kind of that clap effect on your ears that the sonic crack does. This is very impressive on the sound suppression. I would honestly give this a 10 out of 10 for sound suppression. Now we're going to change gears a little bit and we're going to talk about the compatibility. This section's pretty short. It is hub compatible, no end cap, so you can't change from flow through to non-flow through. That's the thing I do like about suppressors, but on the flip side, I like how solid this one is in not having another spot with threads or a fail point of sorts. So this is hub compatible, but no end cap change. So I'd say you probably get 8 out of 10 for as far as compatibility and customization goes, but that's pretty much all you would ask from a suppressor anyway. Now durability. This one is pretty straightforward. This sucker is indestructible. Way stronger than Inconel. 1800 degree temperature rating. We talked about that one at SHOT Show that had been just royally abused with a belt fed. You really can't complain. It being one solid piece with the additive manufacturing, there's no welds anywhere on it. There's no seams. There's no spot to be a fail point. So as far as durability goes, 10 out of 10.
Before we get started, I want to do a quick rundown of all the things I used to build out this rifle because some of the things are pretty sick. We'll have links for all this stuff in the description. RR Weapons Ventus 556 0 back pressure suppressor. Breek Arms Breek Lock QD system, which is titanium and ultra lightweight. Probably the fastest and cleanest QD system for suppressors. AMMJ aiming laser that mounts to a T2 mount as well as an RMR footprint on top of it, which is a pretty awesome setup. Pylon Syndicate MXP aluminum +5 base plates for Gen 3 PMags. Dai-Frico Kung Fu grip, which is fantastic.
Now here's one spot that I would consider a little more of a flaw, but this may not matter to you. It somewhat matters to me though. Flash suppression. Now this is not my favorite can for flash suppression. I have noticed a difference if I use a muzzle brake instead of a flash hider. I usually run a flash hider muzzle device, but on like this big single chamber muzzle brake from Breek Arms, this thing, it reduced it a good amount, but this thing is pretty flashy. Now why it matters to me is I shoot with night vision a lot. When you're under nods, everything is just amplified. And it can be a big deal. And even without nods, you know, if you're in the military, something like that, the idea is that the flash will give away your position and stuff like that. So this is going to be a little more of a flashy can. So I would say out of 10, I give this about a 4 to 5 out of 10 as far as flash suppression goes. The price. Now this can is about $1,100, which is not bad. That's kind of the going rate nowadays. We'll see if the NFA gets smoked, if those prices start going down as they become more common use, and it's less crucial to have an indestructible can when you can just go buy another one easily. But $1,100 is where these are at the moment, and I'm actually pretty happy with that. I feel like it's well worth that dollar amount. There are some companies with extremely expensive cans that are not worth it, and cans that are the same price as this that aren't worth it, but this guy, you're definitely getting your money's worth out of it, and I think it's a perfect buy, to be honest with you. Now, two short things on a completely different note. First is this tactical flannel shirt here. This is actually a prototype we're building. These are really fun for shooting competitions, if you're an RSO, something like that, and you want to have the really nice vented, cool as in air cooling tactical shirts, but you don't want to be wearing camo all the time. We're actually going to be coming out with these in the near future. The red portion is going to be ripstop. If you're interested in that, there'll be a link in the description for my website and my email list. And the email list signups are going to be the first people who know when these are becoming available and are coming out for pre-order. So check that out if you're interested. The second one, make sure you join the Second Amendment Foundation. Good dudes over there, and they're fighting for our rights, supporting us, so we should support them. So something important to note is that I did not experience any noticeable POI shift with this around 100 yards. So I put a 16 power scope on the AR and went out and tried to remove as many variables as possible and just sent them down range. And I didn't have any difference that I could notice, at least, with or without the can, which is an often overlooked thing with suppressors, but it is very important. POI shift with the can sucks, trust me. So as far as that goes, 10 for 10. I haven't experienced anything so far, which is key. So with this being a little bit of a newer company, I figured I'll give you kind of a product rundown. So first, there's their Ventus series, which is everything that's flow through, and they make that from 30 cal, 5.56, 9mm, all that stuff. And these are all the flow through. Now they do make solid end cap ones that are full back pressure, so you want to put it on a bolt gun or maybe adjust the gas on your rifle instead. You can get the max amount of sound suppression and flash suppression out of it. So it's pretty nice that you have that option across the board. Now their newer ones, these are called the Exortium 9, and this is the 9S. Now this is a full back pressure pistol can. The regular Exortium 9 is actually reduced, not zero, but reduced back pressure. And this is tiny. So with this being a little bit of a newer company, I'd like to talk about some of the other stuff they have. So this is their Ventus series. You're gonna have 30 cal, 5.56, 9mm, and so on. And this is all the zero back pressure, flow through options, stuff like that. They're also gonna have the full back pressure for you if you're running a bolt gun, a rifle with you already have adjusted your gas block, or you have an adjustable gas block, stuff like that. So you have the option to have max sound and flash suppression or your zero back pressure, and they're gonna have both of those down the line. Now there are some pistol cans that are really nice as well, called the Exortium. I have one here. This is the Exortium S9S, which is gonna be a full back pressure, tiny little suppressor. For comparison, pretty nuts. So this is really exciting here, and this is also the additive manufacturing and all that stuff. So there's a lot coming from them in the future, and I believe they have a bit of a sister company coming out with an additive manufactured rifle. So stay tuned for that. It's gonna be really cool. We'll work on getting a video on that in the near future. So as far as performance goes, there's a lot of little nuances to suppressors. So it's not as cut and dry as just you shoot and then you see what it sounds like and looks like with flash suppression. You're gonna have different things that go on. So with the sound and the flash suppression, as we discussed before, there's always that first round pop type effect. Now I will say with the flash, there's a decent amount of flash, you'll get that on the first shot, and then after that, this thing has basically zero flash, even in the complete dark. So the first flash is substantial, but after that, it smooths out and it is good to go. And first round pop is kind of a known thing. Now with the sound decibels, I don't notice it near as much, but I am wearing Ear Pro, to be fair. Now the fit and finish is pretty interesting here. They have a couple different colors, but what I do like is because it's additive manufacturing, they can do some very precise patterns and stuff. So I chose the hexagon print on there. And besides from just looking cool, it is actually really nice to have some texture, especially when you're installing and removing from your rifle. And it gives you a little bit more texture than the old school cans. Like my Sandman back here is pretty slippery often, especially when it starts getting warm and you just want to take it off real quick, and then your hand just slips. So it's nice to have the texture on there. Now they do sell it in a couple different patterns and different colors. So you can check that out on their site, which I will have a link for that in the description as well, because they're pretty cool. This is a good company. I like the guys in this company. They're upstanding dudes, and that's a big part of it for me. A lot of times if a company's staff and owners and that are cool, I tend to pay more attention to their products. So what's the verdict on this can? Well, let me put it this way. I put it on this rifle just for testing, and I left it here a while, and it's here to stay. This is probably not going to get shifted off even when other cans come across the channel. This is just going to be part of this 10.5 build, which is a real test to the flash suppression as well. This can itself is decent on flash suppression, incredible on sound suppression, basically indestructible, hub compatible, not too shabby. This is a pretty good buy. Make sure you check these guys out. Good dudes over there, and I am happy with it. Farewell.